Hello, everybody. I wanted to apologise. I had my camera off and also I was muted, so you didn't hear any of that presentation. So if you did turn up and you couldn't hear me, apologies. All you were seeing was a presentation just flicked through with no context to it. So hello again. My name is James. I am the founder of Rupert, and welcome to the comment section. Every week I'm coming on giving 10-15 minutes, easy to digest value and how you can extract more value from your comment section. There's a few stats throughout every presentation. I'd love you just to digest them and think about how they would impact your business if these stats actually came to fruition and started working for your brand and business. So the first slide is a stat: 40% more spent with a business that chats and responds to customers on social media. This is a stat I wish all brands knew, especially those doing e-commerce and social commerce. It's a lot of money that's being left on the table. If your average order value is maybe £100, £80, even £50, and you're increasing that by 10, 15, 20, all the way up to 40%, it's going to move the needle a massive amount on a small order. But look at what it can do to your business over a year's period. It's absolutely massive. It's huge. And we're not spending any more to acquire the customer. All we're doing is extracting more value from the people that are actually purchasing from us. So again, if you're not chatting and responding to customers that are communicating with you on social media, just be conscious that is impacting your bottom line, and actually it's impacting how much value you're extracting from those particular customers. So this is an example of a brand that isn't extracting value from their customers on social with their comments. And this is a vintage clothes brand, which weirdly we spoke about last week, or I spoke about last week. And weirdly, as the algorithm knows, that it picked up on that and it started showing me some of these ads on Instagram. And what you'll see here is that there's actually some really reputational damage being done with this brand. And this is a paid ad. So again, they're paying to distribute this ad to its potential customers, people like myself. And you'll see here that they've got comments around drugs, rag bags, don't buy, 50p a kilo. Again, these are really reputational damaging comments, but they're being neglected, they're being unanswered, and no one is answering them. They're just being left totally unanswered. Really poor. So this is an example, and not a great example of how to do it, but it's a great example of how definitely not to do it. So why the comment section matters, and actually why we need to really consider what we're doing with the comments. So I'll put these into 3 categories for today's comment section. So why responding to comments can make or break your brand's reputation. The first one is build trust and loyalty. You need to show that you value your audience's input. Creating a personal connection is really going to increase how that particular customer, how that prospect is trusting you. And what that does is when you start building trust, you start building loyalty, especially as people start ordering more and more from your brands, it's going to encourage repeat business. They're going to keep coming back to you time and time again, but also they're going to do more word of mouth referrals. You know, we're in that time of year now, the golden quarter, where people are naturally asking where they get things. And, you know, we've all done it. Oh, where did you grab that bag? Where did you get your trainers from? Where did you get that t-shirt from? Where did you get that dress from? And you say where you got it from. Again, they're word of mouth referrals. They're going to go online. They're going to start searching that. Again, that's building that trust. It's building that loyalty. And it's going to really help your brand's reputation. Ignoring comments, neglecting them, it's going to make your customers feel undervalued and potentially push towards competitors. Again, we're in a really competitive market at the moment. We know the landscape economically at the moment. If you're not building trust and loyalty with your customers, just be conscious that they are potentially going to move elsewhere and seek alternative solutions. The second one is manage negative feedback. So negative feedback is inevitable, especially if we're running paid and organic social. It's just the nature of the beast. But actually your response determines what the outcome is. A timely, thoughtful reply can potentially turn a bad customer that's had a bad experience to you into an advocate. It can turn a prospect into a customer. And actually, again, that's going to really help your bottom line. But it's not only going to help your bottom line, it's going to help actually your brand's reputation on those social channels. Last week I spoke about Huel. They do it very well. Again, managing negative feedback, you need to be able to do, but by mishandling that criticism, it can escalate and it can really damage your reputation. A good example, but also a bad example of this at the moment is Mr. Greg Wallace. He, as we know, has taken negative feedback and responded in a not great way. Really bad reputational damage there. He potentially won't be on our screens again, but again, that's a good example of how essentially not to do it. The third one is amplify positive engagement. Now, a lot of companies and brands fail to acknowledge positive comments. And I see it all the time. We always focus on the negative, which we as human beings, we naturally do. But what we don't do is we don't acknowledge the positive comments. But actually, by acknowledging those positive comments, it's going to amplify what we do on social media. And what it's going to do is it's going to breed more interactions, which plays into the number one rule of social media, which is keeping people engaged on the platform. And I speak about this a lot, especially in my past life, which is we as marketeers, we as brand owners, we always want an objective when it comes to social media. It might be a conversion, it might be a lead gen campaign, it might be awareness, whatever it may be. But that's the secondary objective. Our first objective needs to be keeping people on the platform and engaged. If you do that, they incentivize us in a very lovely way, which is if you're running paid media, you're going to get a cheaper CPM, which ultimately is going to give us a cheaper conversion. If you're doing a lot of organic, you're going to get, which I call free reach, and it's going to boost that content visibility, which is absolutely brilliant. But like I said, although we have an objective, we've always got to remember what the number one rule of social media is, which is keeping people engaged on the platform. Because obviously Meta don't want people going to TikTok, TikTok don't want people going to YouTube, and again, it's a vicious cycle. Overlooking positive feedback, you can, and I see it all the time, you're going to miss opportunities, which is ultimately a conversion. So just be conscious that amplifying those positive engagements, it has to be done. And you are actually missing opportunities when they're there. This is a good example of someone that gets back to their clients on social. They're a company called UseClip. You'll see here they've gone back to a lot of the questions. What is interesting is the one where you've got the stars in their eyes is a positive engagement. They've left it totally unanswered, which is again what we just mentioned there about amplifying that positive engagement. What I love about the one on the top left, which is Big Day Memories, is they've asked a question about DMing them, which is great. It actually took them 3 weeks to respond to that. So although they, yes, have got to it at one point, it's taken them 3 weeks to respond, which potentially that customer has gone somewhere else and found an alternative solution. But again, not a great way, and not in terms of speed. It's not a speedy response that, again, people on social media are craving. So now we know why it matters, but what can we do about it? So again, I always put these into free, and these are tips that you can action. You and your team can go away and do, as of today and in the following days. So the first one is personalize your responses. I know that seems really, really simple, but the amount of comments I see that aren't personalized is crazy. Even just addressing the first name will help. Again, it'll build that loyalty, it'll build that trust. The second one is actually reply to their concern or their comment. I see this all the time where someone's asked a question, they've just done a heart emoji, and you're like, well, they've asked a genuine question there. Why aren't we responding? So personalize the responses in terms of their name, but also personalize responses in terms of what are they actually asking you, and address their concerns or their questions. Seems very simple, but very few brands are doing it. The second one is get on negative quickly. Negativity, again, we all know, like I said earlier, it's inevitable. You're going to get it, but getting to them as quickly as possible is going to help the issues that you face. It's going to really help. It's going to really help the customer feel more loyalty, they're gonna feel more what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to just feel more valued, which again, getting on that quickly is really going to help. Obviously, if someone's then potentially looking for an alternative, or they're asking where their order number is or order is, and here's the order number, again, getting back on that quickly is really going to help. And also, especially if it's a paid campaign, actually get on that quickly is going to help when other people are seeing that in their feed. If they see that you've answered your questions, it's going to really impact their decision-making process. So again, if you can get it back onto it quickly. One of the features of Rupert is actually quarantining any negativity in real time. And that was one of my concerns in the previous life, where a lot of my clients had negative feedback. Again, just naturally that will happen. It's inevitable. But out of hours and over the weekend, when social media marketers, agencies shouldn't be working, suddenly we get an influx of comments. It's down to us to deal with them. Actually, one of the features that Rupert does is quarantine those, so that when you come in the next day or on a Monday of the weekend, you can then get to them in your time without them being seen by the wider world, which is a real, which is one of the sort of the key features within Rupert. And the third one is amplify positive comments. Again, we just sort of spoke about that recently, briefly on the last page, but actually turning those positive comments into an ongoing conversation by asking a follow-up question, it's really going to encourage more awareness. Again, it plays into the algorithm more. But just don't leave them alone. Obviously, like I said, I just mentioned on the last slide, but just don't leave them unanswered. If you can get to them, it's really going to help, again, your social platform. It's going to help your social accounts, paid and both organic. So again, there are 3 things you can take away and do today. Here's an example of examples what sort of not to do. You'll see all of these questions here, all unanswered, and every single one of them, none of the questions were answered at all. So again, this is a really bad example of how not to do it. Now, normally I would ask for questions, but because this isn't a LinkedIn Live, because I've already recorded it, but none of you could hear me, I'm going to pretend that none of you asked any questions, then we'll go on that day. The next LinkedIn Live will be next Wednesday, again, 11 a.m., 10-15 minutes. And this is going to be going through preventing brand damage, managing negative publicity on social media, strategies to quickly address and neutralize negative comments. Jaguar and Jaguar are the ones that are going to sort of be the highlight of this particular presentation. But thank you for potentially watching this one. I don't know if you will or not, but if you did join the LinkedIn Live and I wasn't there, apologies. I just didn't click a button. Technology, hey. But thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.